everyone. Well, we are back and we are luckily joined today by Kai Kamaka III, and we thank him very much for his time. Firstly, Kai, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
It's good. That's good. That's
Yeah,
what we
doing
want to
good.
hear. Kai, firstly, what I wanted to ask you is you've obviously grown up in a martial arts background with your father owning a gym, and obviously your brother involved as well. Is this lineage in martial arts something that you're looking to continue?
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, I don't see myself leaving MMA. I want to stay in it forever. As far as work, being in the sport as long as I can, competing, and then working in the industry.
Mm.
Yeah. Kai, obviously, you've been with Extreme Couture, which we've had the lucky opportunity to talk to the guys like Eddie and Dennis and Eric the last couple of weeks. Um, Being with them, has that how has that sort of changed or made you feel change your career for the better almost? Being with such a supportive and community like gym.
Sure, it's good. The the change is different. I mean, the change of environment was just different. In
Mm.
general, I had prior to moving to Extreme, I was training in a garage with my cousin Ray, and it was just me and his two brothers. So just us four and my uncle Ray, and it was just real old school. I mean, simple. We did everything. We just did boxing, wrestling, grappling. We lifted weights. We did everything together. As a team, like us four, and then I moved to Extreme. But I mean, my uncle Ray is like world class. Um,
Mm.
Competed at the highest level, and obviously coached us at a high level. But then I moved to Extreme, and just to change the environment, I got a new set of new ideas just added on to that, and that was the biggest thing. I got new new skills introduced to me, new ideas introduced to me. That was to add on to what I've already come from.
Mm.
Mm. Kai, then does that almost encourage you to go and train at as many different gyms as you possibly can to sort of expose yourself to as many new ideas or new concepts in martial arts?
Um, Not really, not for me. I would have not want to move away from home.
Mm.
Um, just because I mean, so tight knit, and real like loyalty is a big thing to me, to us, to my family.
Mm.
And I left just because I mean, Vegas is way cheaper to sustain a living for my own family, me and my kids. So
Mm.
that's why I left. It wasn't because I wanted to switch gym or
Yep.
even go to area. I didn't even. Um, it was just Hawaii is too expensive. So and then so the next best place for me it was Extreme Couture. There was a lot of Hawaiians there, and I had friendships there already.
Mm.
So that was gonna be a no brainer. But yeah, I'm not a guy that likes to train at a lot of gyms or do a lot of that. I like to like hone in on the small group that I have and make that stronger. As long as I'm open to new ideas brought
Mm.
in, that's the main thing. Then you're not gonna ever. I feel like you're never not gonna ever cap yourself. But if you think you know everything, that's when you just put a limit to what you're gonna do.
Yep. Yep, for sure. So, Kai, you've also fought for LFA, Bellator, King of the Cage, and of course the UFC. Would you ever like to complete the set, as it were, and compete in one championship at some point in your career? Does that interest you at all?
Um, yeah, I mean, as long as I can feed my family doing it, it doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where, as long as because wherever I'm at, I'm gonna still train as hard as I do, fight as hard as I do. So basically, wherever I can sustain a living doing this.
Yep.
Mm. Cool. In terms of the mindset and nerves, I think you come off as a pretty cool, calm, collected guy, and I think maybe that's the Hawaiian way. You seen with Max Holloway and guys like that, very cool, very calm. Would you say were you more nervous for your first amateur fight, being and coming into the sport, or for your first pro fight?
I would it's kind of hard to say because I was kickboxing
Mm,
from like a young age.
mm,
Kind of did everything kickboxing. I did like multiple sports: kickboxing, wrestling, football. Um, I had boxing matches. So I mean, competing was always we were just always competing.
mm,
I think so. Just it just depends on the magnitude of of what it is. I mean, a lot of matches are gonna the magnitude it can be unmatched. Like probably the one that meant the most to me at one point in my life was my state championship wrestling match
mm,
because that's like the pinnacle of high school for me. You know, like being a state champ in your state, and then going to college. I mean, after college, it was just MMA. I mean, going to the UFC, or
mm.
you know, that's as a kid, it's just going to the UFC.
Yeah.
But then by the time I got to the UFC, I've been fighting so much. Those nerves, um, yeah, those nerves. It's just a little bit. It kind of was weeded out the way already. So I
Mm.
would say my like high school wrestling and like you know some matches just mean a little bit more. You know, you're in high school. There's a state championship. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, at that point, that was one of the biggest matches I ever had, as far as for myself and nerves wise.
Mm,
Yeah. So you were talking about it just before where you said when you think you know everything, that's when you put the limit on yourself. So in your own martial arts journey, what's kind of been the most humbling moment to date in your martial arts journey?
I mean, I guess those calmly moments just always come because I know. Um, I mean, I feel like I mean I know I'm world class. I feel like I'm world class. So when I go at other world class people, I want to go at people that are better than me at what I'm already good at,
mm,
right? So my all my training partners, they're better than me at something. Whether it's boxing, there's one guy that's I train with who might be better than me at wrestling. Those are all humbling moments, but that's why I'm gonna go at them. So I mean, you get humbling moments every day. It's just but yeah, you have to be confident in yourself, but you also you know you gotta can't be a fool of yourself either.
Yeah.
yeah. 100%. Kai, you made a bet on yourself, to sort of test free agency, which is, I think, a decision that a lot of fighters maybe wouldn't have made. What was the leading reason for you for deciding to test free agency and then eventually move on to Bellator?
Well, the TJ Brown fight, obviously, TJ Brown fight, and then it rubbed me the wrong way, just the way it was handled. It's still marked as an X on my name, right, as a loss.
No.
After I came off another loss of a short notice fight, which that was that just that's behind me already. So the TJ Brown fight, I lose that fight on a decision,
Mm.
and then I'm 1-2 in the UFC. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not. I forget about the first loss already. Now I have two
Yeah.
because of this crazy loss. So I'm trying to see what is next. What is next? They're not telling me what is next for the longest time. Um, they're like, my manager's like, oh, you know, we don't. I'm pushing Sean. I'm pushing Sean. You know, something soon. We might have to just stay ready.
Mm,
So we might have to just stay ready. Mean, and then then I kind of get. Then it's kind of like, oh, he might not re-sign us, but if we stay ready, he might get us that fourth fight. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm always training anyways. And
mm,
and then the Danny Chavez fights come out of like left field. Um, they told me to stay ready, so I'm not, I'm always looking at fights, and then it's like 2 weeks before that fight, they call me. My manager calls me to take that fight. Like while I'm watching my teammate Misha Tate, she's gonna fight that. Um, she's gonna fight one of the fights that's closer to that date, 2 weeks prior to I fought. And then so my coach that was cornering her, Eric, I called him. I was like, oh, they called me to fight Danny Chavez in 2 weeks. I called my other coach, um, my boxing coach, and then that fight happened. It's a draw.
yeah.
So it's like the worst case
Yeah.
scenario,
Mm,
So of course, then it was like, the power. I don't even know if you can say the power of just like, or I guess then it's like, oh, we don't know what we're gonna do to after contender series if we want to resign you. That's what kind of made me like, okay, I'm gonna test regions. Like, no, I'm not gonna wait. Like, I
Mm.
moved my family here. Um, I'm gonna, I need to fight. I'm like,
Yeah,
I took that fight at last minute because you guys told me I should. So,
yeah,
that's why I did that.
Yeah.
Um, and then so I'm like, I'm not gonna wait around again, and just be, be waiting like a puppet.
mm.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember, as I'm sure you know, that fighting is obviously a young man's game. You don't sort of have the time to wait around for months or years, potentially, waiting to get a fight. You obviously need to actively pursue your career. And kind of talking about that, now that 2022 is here, the world is somewhat back to normal a little bit. What are your plans for 2022 in terms of how active you want to be? Are you looking to get another few fights in this year? What's sort of the plan if you could have it any way that you want?
I mean, I like to fight 3 to 4 times a year.
Mm,
I mean, five depending on the spacing of those fights, on how it ends up. But yeah, I like just like to fight. I like to fight. I like to be in shape, so, and I like to be competitive, be athletic.
mm.
So I'm always training. So I want to fight. I mean, and everything's coming back to normal now. So the more active, the better, right? And you keep winning.
Mm.
The more you climb, the more money you make.
Yeah. That leads to actually my next question is, I think all fighters get into this, are in the sport because they want to be the champ. I mean, ultimately, the championship is the goal. So, considering everything goes well for you this year, when would you, what in your future, when do you see yourself ultimately challenging for the featherweight title?
Um, to be honest, I don't even know. I'm trying to just get my next fight scheduled. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to say. Things play out
Yeah.
weird. Like I just want to keep winning, keep winning. I want to get to my next contract first. Get my next couple fights and get to my next contract. I feel like after when I get to my second contract with Bellator, then I'll start looking towards that direction.
Yep, for sure. And well, kind of maybe potentially talking about some future plans is Bellator 278 and 279 are obviously set to be held in Hawaii, which will be a very big event there. Are those some events that you have some interest in getting in on?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, of course, right? It's going home.
Mm,
I would like, yeah, that big interest in those events. Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to fight this weekend, and then it didn't. So for some reason, it didn't happen. I don't know. It like, just didn't happen. And then we were in Hawaii in April, so that was what was told to me. And yeah, so big interest in that.
yep, for sure. Well, Kai, thank you very much for your time today. We know that you're busy. We really appreciate the interview and we wish you all the best in your next fight and for the rest of your career. Thanks very
Thank
much,
you.
man.